Hi, this is Echo Map, and this is a breakdown of the new collab between Azaleh and myself called Deeper Blue. So in this breakdown, we're going to take you through some different versions of the project to show you how the track emerged from the first ideas, and here we are in the first version of the project. The starting point of the song can be found up here, where we have a bunch of very long audio clips, and these clips are the result of a sound design session where I played synths into Azaleh's modular setup to just find some interesting textures, chords, atmospheres, just create stuff that we thought was cool and that we could draw from later in the songwriting process. So the first one is just like this really big pad, and I just played a bunch of different chords. And so on. The second one is a little bit more consistent. It's a patch where I played basically the same chord in different versions into a big reverb and delay chain to find really nice reverb tails. It sounds like this. Yeah. This fourth one is an interesting bell patch. Yeah. And this last one is just like this big Blade Runner drone thing. And what you see here marked in red are just our favorite bits, and these are the bits that made it into the final track. And most of these recordings and most of these bits made it into the intro, which is this big red blob up here. So this is just us taking our favorite bits from these long recordings and just layering them and processing to create like a big homogeneous atmosphere. So this, for example, has like the big pad from the top, which is this, just filtered down. It has the chords played and with the big reverb in two different versions. And then it also has the bells down here. So after creating this intro, we went on to build the drum groove, and you will hear that this first edition of the groove sounds much softer than the final beat. So the kick sounded really acoustic. The percussion also. But while the sounds were different, the groove was basically exactly what we have in the final track. And the idea of this groove was to divide each bar into a first half, which is really spacious, and there's a lot of space between the different drum hits. And then the second part of the bar is kind of crammed, and there's a lot of drum stuff going on in a short period of time. And what that creates is kind of this uneven rolling effect that has a lot of momentum. So all of that taken together, this is the first version of the song. So for the second version of the track, we tried to go for a more energetic aesthetic. And the first thing that we did is we brought up the tempo from 126 to 132 BPM. And also we pitched it down by 3 semitones so that the root note is now a flat, which we found to be more satisfying. The majority of the ambience is still the same. We added more, but the spine of it is still the same. However, in the drop, we added way more stuff, and also most important, we replaced the kick with this kick bass that sounds like this. Which is kind of now the backbone of the track. And this kick bass just comes from a simple kick. That is EQ'd, distorted, and compressed. Another important addition to the song at this point in this version is the key change in the first drop, which just pitches up all of the pads that are going on by 3 semitones. The kick bass still stays the same, it just stays on A flat. For some reason that works. Yeah, but the pads pitch up. It sounds like this. Yeah, and that section just adds a lot of harmonic interest to the song, which at that point had just been one chord all the time. So altogether, this is the second version of the song.
Alright, so this is the final version of the song, and I loaded in the previous one as well so I can illustrate the thought process that went into the mixdown a little bit better. Let's have a listen. So at this point, the song idea is basically developed, but the drums are a bit all over the place still, and we have lots of sounds going on. Some of the frequencies are clashing a bit, some of the transients are clashing a bit. So we tried to reduce these issues, and this is what we ended up with. Okay, so there's lots of group processing going on, but I'm still gonna try to showcase the individual sounds a bit. We do have this bass group, which is basically just making it loud by adding some parallel distortion and then clipping it all together, some drive. There's some more processing going on another group here. I'm not exactly sure why we did that. Yeah. So then we have the 808. Which has some processing on the group, and I think there's some distortion going on. Yeah. It's distortion and reverb. That gives it this roomy tone to it. Yeah, and that used to be just this kick sample. Then we have the snare. And then finally we have the percussion group. This sounds a little bit different when you mix it in with kick and snare. Because of all the group processing, it gets quite squashed when you mute certain sounds, and when you listen to them individually, they sound a bit different as well. I'm still gonna solo. Oops. Solo some of these. So we have this Foley sound, this weird percussion, just some random one-shots that add a bit of drive to the groove. The offbeat hi-hat. This is all in the second half of the first drop. And then there is another hi-hat that's coming in, and of course the ride. Yeah, so we try to really hone in on this A-B quality. So you have the ride, and then it's really dry, and also with the snare reverb. So it's always dry in the B part, and then has these longer tails in the A section. I think there is like some sort of plate automation going on. Is there another one? Oh yeah. So we do have this reverb send here on the snare. Just adds a bit of space in the fills. And glues these contrasting sections together. So basically everything else is in this big group here. It's mostly atmospheres and some effect zones. And of course the synth chord. Everything is being sidechained and EQ'd a little bit. And we try to arrange this in a way where it supports this A section, B section idea. So when it switches to the B section, you basically just have this reverb tail. So that glues it together, but almost feels like it's completely dry. And then we have this ARP coming in on the next A section. And it basically starts with a free rate. And then switches to synced, I think somewhere in the middle, yes. So for the second drop, we wanted to create something that still relates to the first one. If you compare the two, there are some rhythmic similarities like the first two kicks, but then the snares are spaced out a lot more and the kick pattern is a bit more dense. And there's a lot less going on in the percussions. We basically just have this one sound in this group. And this current hi-hat. And then in the second half, we get some more percussions in here. And together it sounds like this. So for the second section, we added another group. And the main sound in here is this one note block that starts in the breakdown. Kind of evolves over time. I think it's a very simple saw wave block with a bunch of processing on it. Alright, and we have a bunch of noises playing. I'm just gonna solo the group. And we resampled that pluck sound with Rift. So this is what we got out of that. This is using the delay inside of Rift. And a higher octave version. And then there's this one bass fill, which is also, I think, it's also Rift. Interesting sound. Yeah, and then from that moment on, I think the atmospheres fade back in. Very deep at first. And then it comes all back in and fades out into the outro.